Welcome. I'm your host, Dustin. And today we have a returning guest. It's been about 6 months, and there's some really cool stuff that has came out on his end, and I saw and I enjoyed, and it's Stephen Lamorte. How you doing, man?
Hey, Dustin, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm amazing. There's a lot of really cool things happening on the podcast side this year. I'm upset that Dean couldn't make it today, but he had some family stuff going on. So as always, family comes first every single time. But we both saw the film that you emailed us about, and I was like, oh my god, Steven's got a new film. Let's fucking go! And I watched it. I did rent it because I wanted to support you, so you don't have to
Oh, I
reimburse me or
appreciate
anything
that.
like that. So I rented it because I want to support everything you do. And the movie we're going to be talking about that you wanted to talk about is Bury Me Twice, and the film noir zombie green screen crazy film, and I love it. It's so good. Oh man.
Awesome. Thank you. That is the perfect summation of it. It's zombies, it's film noir, and it's crazy.
Yeah, it really is. And another thing too, is it's so fast paced that there's no dull moment, and I love that. Usually, when you think film noir, you're like, oh, it's gonna drag on a little bit. There's a lot of plot and in the way of everything. No, there's plot in the middle of the action that's going on. So there's no like downside at all. As soon as you get thrown into this world, into everything that was built around this, it's gung ho from there. There's no stopping. Even when you get to the end, there is no stopping, and I appreciate that a lot.
Thank you. Well, I mean, part of that comes from the necessity of if we have to animate every single shot, we're not going to make them any longer than they have to be because I'm the
Yeah.
one animating these damn things at 2 o'clock in the morning. Um, but it was important that it is a hybrid of two genres, and sometimes zombie films and or zombie stuff, even zombie TV shows, can get kind of dour and you can get kind of bogged down. So it was really critical when writing the script that, it didn't lean too far into oh, it's a bummer, the world has ended and we're just picking up the pieces. And instead, the infection is just breaking out. And how are we going to deal with it? It's more like The
Exactly.
Mummy and Pirates of the Caribbean than it is, Last of Us. I love Last of Us, but it doesn't get you going the way running from zombified mummies while you drive through Cairo with a machine gun, and that's what we set out to do.
Yeah, and I know when you emailed us, you said there was what 2,500 effects you had to edit.
That's right. Yeah,
Oh
2,500
my
VFX shots.
god. So I was curious, how long did it take you to do that? The amount of hours you probably clocked into this thing was probably way too much. Way too much.
Astronomical. Yes, it's true. I was a much less gray person when I started. I mean, the idea for the film was kind of to be like a showpiece for could I do a Marvel movie? And the only way to do, there's so many people making small films and they're fantastic, beautiful little bottle movies that take place in, one location. And, maybe they go to the basement or they go to the roof. At some point, they try to get across the lake and they can't, and they go back into the house. We really wanted something big and sprawling. And this is a micro budget film. So just doing 1950s, unless you're locked in a prison cell, is going to be challenging, right? Um, and so we knew kind of early on that it was going to have to be an all green screen film. I've been, an amateur animator for my first movies were Star Wars movies, hand animating lightsabers one shot at a time. And, so I've always enjoyed working with After Effects and stuff. And we shot the film, and I want to say it was 2018 or 2019.
Oh
And
wow.
then I spent the better part of like 2 years animating all 2,500 effect shots. And that doesn't count the shots that we cut from the movie because, much like an animated film, we shot the film and then with the script as it was written. And then we did like a rough animation of most of it. We edited all the green screen footage together. And then we realized there were some holes in the movie. And we said, okay, well, there's some stuff we can do with voiceover, but we'd like to make it a little bit better. A lot of people don't realize classic Disney animated films they didn't lock the script and then animate it. They would, they'd sketch rough like animatics of the scenes, where it almost looks like a flip book. The drawings are
Yeah.
so simple. And then as they become more sure that a scene is going to stay in the movie, then they task somebody with finishing it shot by shot by shot. So if you're watching the movie halfway through, half of it's almost unfinished, pencil sketches, and the other half of it's glorious in color and whatever.
Yeah.
So we took that approach because while the spine of the mystery was always there, some of the character development and some ideas that we had came in, and because it's green screen, the sets didn't get torn down. It's a green screen, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I'm picking up a wardrobe from a friend's house, and she had a 1950s Tommy gun replica.
Oh,
And I said,
awesome.
I'm like, it's Thursday. I'm like, we're shooting on Saturday. Can I take your Tommy gun? And she was like, yeah, no, never a question of what I was going to do with it or why she had it. But I said, we have to put this damn thing in the movie. And then the shot made it into the trailer because it's like watching a 1950s detective firing a machine gun, shredding zombies is just so much fun.
Yeah, and like when you see a Tommy gun, you are instantly ported to that era, like it's so iconic and it fits so well. And when I was watching the film and he picked up, I was like, yes, like I knew it was in there because I saw the trailer and everything. I was like, this is great. I love this. And all like the dialogue and that's going on in there is really funny too. And also how like you get the information about zombies out of like comic books. He's asking the guy, how do you know all this information about zombies? And he's got comics. It's great. There's a lot of like comedic moments in here with also mixed with semi serious tones because it's a detective and you want to make it seem a little bit serious, and it's a life-threatening thing because of what's going on in the city, and it's in Hollywood. It's amazing. It's so good. I need more of this. Can you please make more? I really need more films in this in this style. Like, not that many out there.
Well, it's true. I didn't realize how, and I appreciate the compliment. I didn't realize how few genre mashups like this kind of existed. And I did a Google search for like zombie film noir when we were first developing this idea. And when I didn't see it come up, I was like, really? It seems like, because the first zombies, there wasn't the infected zombies. The first zombies were like voodoo, right?
Yeah.
It was like, voodoo, Louisiana magic kind of stuff. And I was really surprised that hadn't really been done before, not in this way anyway. And it was just super great to like, be able to play and kind of bring people in and, hats off, not just to the writers, Flip and Cindy, who also wrote The Mean One, for, really capturing that, the style while still injecting it with that zombie fun of, oh, there's, 1,000 zombies and, we're on a roof and we're trying to get across the sign. And, not just all that, but also to the cast, they're in a room. If they touch it, it's real. Otherwise, almost the entire set is all green screen with the exception of the cars.
Oh, wow.
So for them to be standing in a green room, and I'm like, okay, you're in, and they've got light on them that looks like blinds, so there's a shadow of blinds on their face, even though there's no blinds in the scene, and maybe a desk that's fully dressed, but then the rest of the room is just empty. And I'm like, okay, it's spooky. And they're like, all right, or like a Chasel, who's also in The Mean One, who plays Flynn and also Officer Burke, very consistently walking through furniture in the movie. It just kept happening when we're shooting, where he would like go left. I'm like, you just walked through a desk, and he's like, sorry, Steve. He'll go back and reset. But it's great and it's super fun, and they trusted me so much, and it was this real sigh of relief. And I was showing them the animation as we were shooting. We shot the film in a little under 3 weeks. And, it'd be like 4:00 in the morning and they'd get an Instagram message from me or a text from me. That's that's like the heroes standing pose with the machine gun. They're like, that looks awesome. Can we see it moving? And I'm like, no,
not
there yet. Not yet. I'm working on it. I'm one guy. I did have help from a second animator who I threw, I want to say maybe a quarter of the shots to.
Oh, okay. So you definitely took on a lot of it. Wow.
Yeah, well, I put hands on every single shot in the movie, and then about I think 500 shots maybe I gave to a second animator, and then he took my project files and cleaned them up, and did some of the sexy work to it. But I mean, it's fun being able to have a vision and be able to like genuinely, it doesn't happen all the time on films between budgets and, timing and stuff, that you can get the exact shot you want. And, with the way that we made this film, I could put the window exactly where I wanted. I could make time of day be as long as I needed it to be. And because the style wasn't realistic, we could have a lot more fun with it. It was a
Yeah.
concern when we started, what's this animation going to look like, right? We're not Pixar, we're certainly not Spider-Man, right? So we
Oh
don't,
yeah.
we're not, what's this animation going to look like? And so we did a lot of tests with experimenting with color and, does this look realistic? Does this look like a PlayStation 2 video game cutscene? And, we really,
I
really,
love that.
really settled on something that was is like fun to watch, but doesn't take you out of the animation. It's my favorite compliment when people who've seen the film don't mention the animation at all. I slaved over this, but it's like if you say a movie's got good cinematography, to me, I'm like, oh, that means you didn't like the story. So when people don't comment on the animation, I'm so happy. I'm like, oh, the animation works because you're just, people like the story, or, oh, I enjoyed the characters or the music or whatever. Then it means we've done our job, because it's not about flashy animation. We want
Yeah.
to excite and make people laugh and, tell a familiar story in a new way
Yeah,
with
and
zombies.
that's definitely one thing I want to highlight too is like there's so much zombie stuff out there. There really is. So at first when you sent this to me and you said it was a zombie film, at first I was like, oh no, not another one. But
Mhm.
then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna watch it. I love your work and you're such a great individual. And I'm like, I'm gonna watch it because I love zombie stuff. Don't get me wrong, but it's just like, oh my god, there's so much out there. But you watch this one and it's so fresh. Like nobody has done this before. It feels brand new. It's like I'm watching something I've never seen before because I haven't. I've seen film noir films. The closest thing I can really relate this to of modern years is like Sin City, like when you were
Mhm.
doing all stuff like that. But obviously, it
Mhm.
was a higher budget and studio. But for you to be able to kind of have it on the same level as that, in my eyes, I was like, you are nailing it out of the park, and getting all the tones right and everything, and then throwing in zombies and making it feel so fresh and crazy because it's a mystery and you're really in there. You're like, what's going on? How are they turning into zombies? And when you find out, you're like, okay, that definitely sounds like something that would have happened back then,
Mhm.
And then when they have to go and retrieve it and you see what they're doing, you're like, this is definitely something that would have happened back then if zombies were real. So
I
it's
love it.
great.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's kind of fun too when you're writing, depending on the project. Sometimes we start with the story. Sometimes I have like visions for a set piece. So I have a new movie now, and I'm like, I don't know where it's going to go, but I'd like to flood an elevator. And they were like, I mean, just from a building standpoint, from a logistical standpoint, narratively speaking, I don't even know where that would fit in there. I'm like, let's just try. Let's just try.
Yeah.
I'd like to flood an elevator. And so there's some stuff in this film that were like ideas that I've had. And you kind of have this crazy idea. Oh, what if we're on a cliff and you have to get across a bridge and there's crocodiles in the bottom? What if we did that with zombies?
Yeah.
Crazy, silly little things like that drift in, and in most formats and mediums, that could be a real problem. You get to production and you're
Yeah.
like, how many zombies can we afford? How high up can we be? Do we need a truss? Do we need wires? But with the leaning into this animated style, we're able to do all kinds of cool stuff. And we're like, oh yeah, well, what if halfway through the scene they knock over a can of formaldehyde and now the zombies are on fire? Okay, why not?
Yeah.
We do stuff like that. And it's all filmmaking is like taking your toys and kind of playing with them in the sandbox. And when you're going with green screen, it's like, yeah, we can do anything. What if they flew? They don't, but they could.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
so super fun.
Um, what's something else I wanted to bring up? Oh yeah, I wanted to ask because you're mentioning animation, mentioning people walking through furniture
Mhm.
and stuff like that. Was there a like a shot or like just like one scene that you were finding to be most difficult out of like the rest of it, or was it all equally challenging? I'm always really fascinated seeing if there's a scene that stumps.
Mhm. Well, from a technical standpoint, there's some underwater stuff in the third act of the movie that was really tricky because typically you would do we shot it dry for wet, so we're not in a tank, we're in we're in the same green space.
Yep.
And Theo, who plays Earl, he's like 6'5". That is a substantial human. I mean, he's a very
Wow.
big guy. And so like wire rigging him was not really going to be an option to suspend him. So we had to kind of do every trick that we could to try to make him look wet. We shot at a higher frame rate, so everything was super slow motion. But then how do zombies move in slow motion? So then we had to change their clothing so that the clothing would ripple with the fan, so that it would look like they were underwater. But then
Oh wow, that's really cool.
because he has short hair in the movie, so you can't see, there's no like water rippling through his face. It's not like he's got long flowy hair that's moving. So then
Yeah.
we had to make the zombies that were underwater, they needed to have their hair, they had to all go back to makeup and have their hair like loosened up and lightened. And we chose their clothing specifically so that it would move in the with the fan, because that was the only thing that was going to really convey that this fake underwater scene was real. We could add the seaweed, which has no place in the kind of underwater location that they're in, but I thought it was whatever, but we added,
Oh,
the,
good.
it's as like, they're like, someone brought that up at one point. They're like, there wouldn't be seaweed if it was man-made. And I was like, it looks cool. Shut the hell up. All right. So there was just a lot of, between that and then like, how often does he breathe? Every time he breathes, bubbles come out of his mouth. Well, they're dead. Do bubbles come out of there? So there was a lot of like, artistic license had to be taken, because the execution of it, a lot of people don't realize half of really good VFX comes from the way it's shot, not the way it's animated.
Okay.
So silly stuff, seemingly simple things like getting the lighting right, or having the angles match up, knowing what lens you used for your foreground element so you can match the lens, the virtual lens that you're animating later. Like all of those little things go to making something kind of snap together. So that sequence, seemingly simple, and the execution was a lot of like basic stuff. But it was like driving me crazy trying to pull off this underwater scene, dry for wet, with zombies in black and white. Yeah, it was crazy.
Just
But we got
imagine
there.
if he did this in color.
Yes. There is a color version of the film, but it's just like dramatically harder because film noir is generally black and white,
Yeah.
and we really wanted to like up the contrast so that and every time like something animated didn't quite look perfect, well, in black and white, we just make it dark and call it style. So
You listen to that, kids?
it's, I mean, that's the look, right? When you're doing 2,500 of anything, I can assure you, when you're like halfway in the middle, you're at like shot 1,783,
Oh my
and you're
God.
really tired, and it's like 1 o'clock in the morning, and you're like, I've been working on this for too long, and I have so much further to go. You start
What
thinking,
day is it?
right, like maybe cheating is the way to go. And every animator does it, but usually they have help, so it's a little, a little more forgiving. Um, yeah.
Crazy. So, wow, 2,500. I still
Mhm.
can't get over that amount. It's so crazy. Now you got to do
Well,
your next film, doubling that, and you got to do it all
oh,
solo.
that's right, and I'll do it by myself. That's right. You'll see me in at my 60th birthday party with a long beard. Done.
You'll just be
You,
walking out of a cave. What year
right.
is it?
What year is it? Are we still making movies? And like, no, man, everything's virtual reality now. You got to go back in. I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
That's another thing that's really crazy now with like all the VR stuff coming out.
Mhm.
I like I really want to go into the VR world and like consume it, but it's so expensive. And I'm excited to see where filmmakers are going to be able to take VR from. And I feel like you are one of the many people we have talked to because like you're so grounded in what you do and you love doing things like low budget but really great concepts and they all come out so well. I want to see you do something VR. I think that would be so sick. Doing another like film noir film or like another like the Mean One type or
Mhm.
mashing them together. Film noir slash the Mean
The more
One.
main one. Oh boy.
Yeah, that would be crazy. And that in VR. Oh my god, that'd be sick.
Well, you want to laugh? I've actually made a VR film. Uh,
Really?
yeah, I did it about 5 years ago, and it's called Zombie Survivor, but the ER has a VR in it.
Oh,
Mhm.
wow. I have to hunt that
and
down.
uh and this is I don't know if it's available publicly anymore, but the to get around the like limit, we were just this is like when VR first started getting popular like
Yeah.
6 or 7 years ago. And so you're basically in a medical tent. You've just been bitten by like by something, and you're in a medical tent while the zombie outbreak is happening outside of the tent. So it starts with you as like a patient, and if you look down with the headset, you can see your hands are strapped to the bed, and you're the doctors are like, you'll be okay, everything's going to be fine, and then you keep blacking out, and every time you wake up the tent is like more and more jacked up,
Oh,
and
wow.
creatures are coming in and they get like right in your face and stuff, and it's and by
That
the
sounds
end,
so fun.
yeah, by the end you're like surrounded by a horde. And then if you've ever, I'll spoil it because I mean it's been years at this point, but the finale and the real thing that made me want to do it was like every you can feel like you're in the middle of a zombie horde, um, but not like surrounded,
Yeah.
except in VR. So if you look down, you see your body, and then if you look around, there's zombies all around you, 360 degrees, pawing at you in 3D VR. And then it ends with like an alien style chest burster, like popping out of your
Oh,
chest.
wow.
It's your chest. So like you're seeing it as you look down. It's trippy. It freaked a lot of people out.
That's really cool. Now you got to get like the things that you can like feel the sensors and stuff,
Right. That
so you can
body
feel
thing.
everything. Wow. Yeah. So if you do make another one,
Mm-hmm.
I need to get a hold of that.
Let me
That
see
sounds so
if
fun.
I have the file. Maybe I can send you something, because
Oh my
that was a
God.
cool one. And now I'm very confident that like the VR and stuff, kind of like with 3D where it got really popular and it got less popular. I think with Apple announcing their new headset, there's going to
Yeah,
be a market for VR stuff, and I just happen to have some VR in my back pocket. So
that's awesome. So,
survive VR. It's coming for your face.
oh yeah, that sounds so fun. Everything that you do, it just has like this charm to it, and I love that. Like you have such a distinct feel to your films, and I know it goes to everybody that's a part of it, but I love the team that you have crafted, and now hearing that you can be doing stuff with like Buzz on the Lens guys and
Mhm.
going, a little bit bigger budget, like I'm all for it. Is there anything you can tell us about there, or is it all hush hush right now?
Um, what can I say? Well, we haven't formally announced it yet, but we're hard at work. I have a script meeting tomorrow, and one of the a lot of some people know that, some people don't. But I went to high school with Mike and Steve and Jason, all the Fuzz and the Lens guys, um, and we started doing comedies. Right, we were a part of the school TV station, and you know everybody people always wanted to be in the news desk,
Yeah.
and we always wanted to make like sketches and skits and parodies and stuff. So we've been doing this garbage since 14, 15, 16 years old.
Garbage. I love that.
It's just absurd. I love it. And if you're this job is too fun, if you're not, it's too hard. If you're not having fun, like it's not worth
Yeah.
doing. And every time I go to New York, we always have a blast shooting together. They're the guys I call when whenever we have a production that because I live in LA now. And so this new one, when we were developing the idea and brought them this concept and said, hey, here's what I want to do. They're like, oh, that's really cool. And one thing we all agreed was we wanted to do something that was not just fun, but funny,
Yeah.
so like a horror comedy, and that we really wanted to step up the practical effects, not necessarily making them like, stomach churningly gory, but whether it's puppet work or set building or wire gags. Like we really wanted to do some really cool in camera stuff. And the things that I've been building, trying to figure out how to say it without saying it, the stuff that we're experimenting with is going to be really, really rad. And so we're going to like lock ourselves in what I imagine will probably be, like an abandoned school or something, build this crazy set and just go nuts and just have fun and make something that will be funny and hopefully exciting, and that people are going to really dig when we finally announce it.
Oh, I'm so amped. Like you can't be teasing me like this. And everybody is like that right now. I've been seeing people are like, oh, I know they also have like the stream movie that's gonna be coming, and they're
Mm-hmm.
teasing so much stuff about that. I'm like, please, I need it. I need it now. You guys have been talking about this for like 2 years. I need it.
Yeah.
Like I backed the project and everything. I'm like, please, can we have it? And now we have the poster, and I'm like, wow, that looks sick. And also the
Yeah.
casting is amazing. So I'm so amped to see what's going to be happening with yours, because they're like an up and coming. You're an up and coming. So having both of your worlds be combined like this is amazing. And I love indie filmmaking because of those two things, of just how crazy you can get when you're
Mhm.
doing it essentially all by yourself.
Well, and
This,
there's also an element too of I've worked on larger shows and I've been a small cog in a very big machine. And I'm not saying it's not fun, because it is really cool to have like resources like, oh
yeah.
yes, we've got 5 cameras. So, oh, well, just bring the Steadicam in. The guy's been waiting all day, like fly in the drone. It's awesome to have those things. It's so nice when you have a problem to solve it with money. Like that is really the easiest way. Um, but it does rob the production of a little bit of joy, right? When you have to think your way out of a problem, when there's some guy sitting behind you who's like, oh, by the way, we changed the whiskey to vodka because we got a sponsor. And I'm like, but the plot revolves around it being whiskey. They're like, oh, you'll figure it out. I'm like, are you serious? Like, really, you're going to change and that is why I think you see a lot of larger studio films that end up you're kind of feeling like a camel, right? Like a horse. They say a camel is a horse designed by a committee.
Yeah.
And it's really fun when you get like a handful of crazy people, right? They're all in on the joke or the gag or whatever it is. And then we're all just like working together and, oh, we ran out of glue, so let's use chewing gum to stick the thing on the, oh, okay, well, we need another background actor. So you'll put your hand in the shot, just being able to like kind of do all that. And it's very exciting to know that the world is excited for the freshness of that, for low tech, simple independent films that are kind of crafted on the outside, or people are like, what if a tire was a killer and it could like,
Oh
it could
yeah.
run around and kill people. Like, it's an insane concept. Someone thought it would be a good idea. A couple of people decided to get together and help them do it. And that film is super fun.
It really is.
Who would approve this movie? What person with like in their right mind would be like, yeah, let's make a movie called Velocipaster or Wolf Cop or any of these,
A Wolf
outlandish
Cop,
films.
yeah.
And, people love it because they like that it's fresh and you can really tell that like an artist crafted this. There's only so many sequels you can make to certain things where like the passion's gone and they're just, trying to cash grab or drag it out or extend it. So it's an exciting time to be an independent filmmaker, because I don't need a million people to dig what we do. I'd like it. That'd be awesome. And
Yeah.
I'm sure, it's very helpful. But I always find that there's only so many things in this world that are unanimously loved. And outside of that, the number of people I know who have come up to me and said like, oh man, you're the montage in The Mean One, the Christmas training montage is like my favorite Christmas training montage ever. And I'm like, it's not that many people who have said that, but for a handful of people, we really made an impact. And
Yeah.
that's why we do it, Um, yeah, and just have fun making it with people you like is, oh man, it's just the best.
Yeah, that's great. And it makes me happy to hear people have those thoughts now, and feeling that when you are the one that's creating it, and you have this family, as you said earlier, like that there's some cast members that are in this one that were in the Mean One, and you have the same writers that were involved with the Mean One as well. So there's a lot of like continuity on that end of you feeling like, oh, this is something I know I'm gonna like, because like it's by Steven. He's got his friends in here, and I need the new film. I need it, and I need to see the Mean One again. I need to see it again.
It's
I
coming,
actually
baby.
got
It's
I got the
coming.
poster right here. So.
I love it. It's in a perfect spot. I mean, it's right behind your head. So if you want to
Yeah,
move
yeah,
a little
yeah. I
bit,
know. I'm blocking it.
yeah. No, that's awesome. I love to see it there. It's in good company.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
we actually have a lot of killer making of like behind the scenes stuff that we'll be like announcing more formally shortly.
nice.
And it is I was very, very clear in working on this stuff. I said, do not polish this thing and make it seem like a million people spent $1 billion on this giant, huge thing. I want the weird stories. I want the weird people. I want you to know, where the how small this thing really started before it grew and turned into, where it went. And it's a super fun watch. And I think anybody that digs the movie or even likes independent filmmaking, um, or the movies that made us, that series on Netflix, if
Yeah,
you've ever
that's a good
seen
one.
that. So it's very much in the style of that. I'm like, don't hold back. Do not try to polish this up and make it seem like it's something it's not, because this is our process is, 10, 15 people calling every favor, and we all run around the woods with a camera and, try to make some people laugh.
Yeah. Wow. I'm excited. Um, Another thing I wanted to ask is for Bury Me Twice. Is there any physical media for this, or is it just on streaming right now?
Not yet. It's just streaming now. We're starting off. Bury Me Twice is now streaming on Amazon. Um, in It'll be available worldwide shortly, but right now it's in only in certain spots. But you can watch it on Amazon on your computer, your tablet, smart TV, whatever. You can rent it or you can buy it. If you want to do both, that's awesome. Um, and there's plans for physical media coming, but right now we're just trying to kind of get the word out about the film. And really, the best way people can support, in addition to renting it, which thank you, by the way, I appreciate that,
Of course.
is rating it. Honestly, if after you've watched it, if could you rate it, maybe give it 5 stars, maybe say the director's handsome, any all that stuff,
Yes.
any kind of ratings, on Amazon or on IMDb, that really helps us out because we're not the best thing you could do for a film aside from talking about it is just helping us to rank higher in the search because we're buried behind the Meg 2 and Blood Fart Lake and all this other crazy stuff. So
Yeah.
we'll be so yeah. There's plans for physical media, but for right now, it's all streaming on Amazon. Then it'll expand as time goes on.
The poster's awesome too. I need it. I need it beside.
You want that one too?
Hell yeah, dude.
I'll see what I
I
can
have
do.
so many posters. I gotta grab, but I would be so sick. Yes, anything. I want a soundtrack because the music
Mhm.
in it is really good. It's very minimal, but it really puts you in that world. And I like that about movie soundtracks of it being minimal but very impactful.
Mhm.
And this movie has that all around. It's just like how it was in the Mean one. You get to this one, and you're like, yes, this is film noir, and it's like an hour and a half. But like I said, it's so fast paced that it didn't even feel like it. Like you go from one scene to the next one, to the next one, and then you're done.
Mhm.
You're like, what? That's it? That's it? Come on! It's so good, and I can't say that enough. It really is super fun. So I hope everybody goes to check it out. It's a great watch.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, we really wanted to do this genre mashup and not make a zombie movie with detectives, but make a film noir movie with zombies. So the first third of it definitely is, slow burn, thread the needle. They're doing mystery, sleuthing, solving and trying
Mm.
to, and that's why the score in the earlier parts of the film is definitely more noir, more jazzy, that more 1950s. But then once it picks up at the end and there's thousands of zombies and they're breaking through the glass and catching fire and all that crazy stuff, then it gets a little more synthy and poppy and a little more bombastic, which is my favorite. I mean, if I didn't make movies, I would be making music and it would just be like drums and 80s style synthesizer, like
Hell yeah, I'm right there with you.
yeah, just John Carpenter music, just to offer everything. I'm so glad it's back in style, by the way, now that we're doing like we're doing commercial stuff. And sometimes they're like, oh, I don't, it's okay, but we want to give it a little more pop. I'm like, what if we did 80s neon? And they're like, yes. I'm like, with
Yeah,
synthwave music, and they're like, sure, that sounds cool. And I'm like, yes, yes. I'm so glad it's back in style because that is my jam.
yeah, same. I've been listening to so many synthwave bands. Like I listen to a Gunship a lot. They are amazing. They are so good. And then also like other movie soundtracks that are starting to get like synthwave in there, or seeing other films of the past couple of years that have had synthwave for like their music is so good. I don't. There's just something about it that feels there's like more emotion in it, or I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what it is, but there's just something on the level that you can feel the scenes, and I feel the scenes in this one, and More synthwave all around. Just keep
Yes,
doing it.
keep doing it. There's a playlist that I've been doing some animation to. This is my whole life is just listening to music and like putzing away at the, my creative endeavors. And there's a playlist that I've been really into. It's called, I think it's like 3 hours of the best saxophone synthwave.
What? I got what? That sounds
Yes, I'll send
interesting.
you the link if anyone is into it. It's literally just like a YouTube, like one long YouTube video. It's got this big muscular guy playing a saxophone as the thumbnail, and
Okay.
and it's just it opens and it's just saxophone music. You're like, oh, that's cool, and then it goes bow bow bow, and
Yeah,
it's
that does sound interesting. Send that
it's
to
so
me.
it's so wild, and it's like I'm just sitting there working, and my wife's like, is there saxophone with the synthesizer? And I was like, I told you to knock before you come in my room.
Oh,
But
that's
yes,
another thing I wanted to congratulate you on is that you got married, not that
I
long
did.
ago. Because last time we were talking, you guys were, you were still engaged, and I saw that you got married, and it looked beautiful. So I wanted to congrat the both of you on that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, we did. We got married in April. We took a break between movies to, get hitched.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so now I'm married to Mayor McBean, and it's super awesome because I direct and produce, and she produces and acts, and a lot of people have different opinions about who's the boss on the film set. I say it's a director. She says it's the producer. Now that we're married, and my opinion might have to change on that. So, we're but thank you.
Oh
We're
boy.
we're excited to keep living and keep creating together.
That's awesome. That's a great thing too, is being with somebody that, thrives in the same world that you do. Having that one person that connects on the level that you are, and you can go and enjoy these things together and experience them together instead of having to, talk to them about it. You both experienced it, so you know what it was like being there. So that must feel amazing.
Well, it's you're going to making a movie is kind of like going to battle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Terrence, our stunt coordinator, says that all the time. You make making movies like going to war. And so when you can, you go with friends.
Exactly.
And when we're shooting, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and we know we have 2 more hours of shooting, and it's cold, and we're tired, and the blood gag's not working, or people are falling asleep, or whatever is going wrong. It's a very different feeling when, instead of like, oh, my wife is at home, I wish I could be home. It's like, no, she's here in it
Yeah.
with me, and we can drive home and complain about the same stuff, and yeah, it just makes it a lot more fun. And you have someone you can share the highs and the lows with. And going on the press tour for the Mean One with my wife, it's great. Like, that's so awesome. They save money on hotels, and we get to go on a trip together, so it's
Yeah, that's
awesome. We love
awesome.
it.
That's absolutely awesome. Ah, Steven, it's always great talking to you. It really is. You're just a bundle of joy. Everything that you do, it's so uplifting. And it was like that when we talked to you last time. It was just listening to the stories that you were telling, and now hearing about these new ones and the new films that you're going to be doing, and your passion behind filmmaking and being a creator in general. It really rubs off on me. It makes me want to continue doing what I'm doing, and I love doing what I'm doing, and hosting these shows, and talking to people like you, and then having some of them return like yourself is great. And I want to always say this is whenever you have something that's coming out that you want to announce, you are more than welcome to come back on. Like, email me like you did. You emailed me.
Mhm.
I was like, Steven. I was like, oh, okay, it's Stephen Lamort. This is awesome. And he did the meme one, and he's like, oh, I have a new film. I'm like, oh, new film? I thought it was gonna be like meme one news, and I saw it was a new film, and I was so amped. Like, okay, I gotta check this out right now, and I did, and
Oh,
I fell in love with
awesome.
it. Fell in love with
Oh,
it.
I'm so glad. Well, there will be more Mean One news coming soon, and I'm just happy that that people enjoy the things that we create. And yeah, I love chatting with you guys, and I do listen to the podcast now that I'm following you on social media and
Oh,
listening
thank
and
you.
stuff. And you guys have had some really awesome guests and stuff. And as soon as this one was ready to drop, I was like, I got to go back and see Dustin and Dean, man. I got to get in there
Yeah.
and we got to chat about Bury Me Twice. And I'm so I know you guys have varied interests, so I was like, oh, I wonder if if you or your audience would be into it. And I'm glad to hear you liked it. So
Yeah, and I want everybody to go check it out. Seriously, go rent it, go buy it. It's really not an expensive movie either. And I mean, that doesn't shy me away from anything, but I know there's a lot of people out there like, oh, well, how expensive is it? I think to rent it's like $3 and to own is like 8 or something like that, like around that range. So it's really not that bad, and it's a great film. It's I've been using this term a lot is popcorn films. Like you can just sit down with a bucket of popcorn and eat it. This one, it's totally what it is. You can sit down and time will fly by. And if you have a good surround sound too, oh my god, it makes the experience so much better. That's what I did. I have a nice surround system when I'm watching films to really get that experience, and it's great. Oh man, good job on you and your team and everything that you've been doing. And this was a fun chat. It's always fun talking to you.
Thank you. It's always fun talking to you guys, and talking to just you. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
we'll have to catch Dean up on the next one. Yeah, man, thanks for having me. It's been a blast. Love chatting about movies, and let's make some more and let's talk about them.
Yeah, let's do it, man. And if you ever need an extra in the film, hi.
Yeah, hey, no
All you
problem.
gotta do is pay me in cookies.
Oh, that's it. Oh, wow, that's a really budget friendly. Do you have any dietary restrictions?
Nope.
Oh, perfect, fantastic. Our makeup artist Ashley on the Mean One makes the most insane chocolate chip cookies. This is no joke. She brought that. She was being really coy. She's like, "Oh, I'll make some cookies for the last day of shooting." I made us stop. I held up production for about 5 minutes because I saw there weren't that many cookies left, so I could sit and eat one more cookie. This is no joke. And
Wow.
this, you asked the crew, and they're like, no, we're ready for the next shot. I'm like, you got to give me a second. And they were like, for what? I'm like, I'm eating the damn cookie. Okay.
Leave me alone.
Cookies. When I get back, let me have this. Yeah. So we'll get her to make you some cookies and you'll be all good and we'll cover you in blood and it'll be awesome.
Yeah, that's great. I'm looking forward to it. But Stephen, thank you so much for being here and talking about this new film, and hope everybody who is listening goes to check it out. Let Stephen know what you think about it. Leave those reviews. Let us know what you think about it as well. And I'm excited. Sure. I really, really am. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you for everybody who is listening, and we'll catch you on the next one. Stay scared.